The SEC versus Ripple case has been dragging on for what feels like an eternity. But while the headlines have been dominated by legal back and forth, XRP has been quietly making some of the most explosive moves in the entire crypto market. Prices are climbing, institutional interest is spiking, and traders are starting to sit up and take notice. The big question everyone's asking now is, could we be on the verge of a historic XRP breakout? One that could reshape the altcoin market as we know it? And here's where things get even more exciting. The possibility of a US spot XRP ETF. If approved, this could open the floodgates for massive institutional investment, huge liquidity inflows, and mainstream adoption like we've never seen before. Imagine millions, maybe billions of dollars flowing into XRP, all at once. That's the kind of catalyst that can take an already strong coin and turn it into a market-defining superstar. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know. The very latest updates from the SEC versus Ripple court, XRP's jaw-dropping performance compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other top altcoins, and why an ETF approval could be the ultimate trigger for the next major crypto rally. We'll also dig into what analysts are predicting, how XRP stacks up against its competition, and why this moment could be the perfect storm for a breakout. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, position yourself for potential gains, and understand why XRP could be on the brink of something monumental, then don't wait. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications now, because every update in this story could change the game, and you won't want to miss a single second. All right, let's get into it. While the majority of the crypto world has been fixated on Bitcoin breaking records and Ethereum navigating its own wave of adoption, XRP has been quietly, almost stealthily, setting itself up for what could be one of the most explosive runs in crypto history. And let me tell you, no one, and I mean no one, is fully ready for what's about to happen. Over the past 12 months, XRP has done something that very few top-tier cryptocurrencies can claim. It has outperformed nearly every major digital asset in the market. We're talking Bitcoin, which everyone obsesses over, Ethereum, which has been dominating headlines with its network upgrades, Solana, known for high-speed transactions, even Dogecoin, which has been fueled by meme culture and celebrity mentions. XRP quietly has been outperforming them all. In fact, if you pull up the charts and do the math, XRP has surged over 440% in just the past year. That's not a one-off pump. That's not hype from a random tweet. That's sustained, consistent performance that's drawing the attention of serious players in the financial world. And here's what's really interesting. This isn't just retail hype. This isn't small-time FOMO from crypto enthusiasts. Institutional investors, hedge funds, and asset managers are starting to take notice. They're watching XRP's price action, analyzing its liquidity, and seeing a potential powerhouse that could soon rival even the biggest crypto giants. And honestly, the question that's running through everyone's mind right now is, why has XRP been moving so fast while the rest of the market seems to be in catch-up mode? The answer, in large part, comes down to the SEC versus Ripple case. Now, we all know this case has been dragging on for what feels like forever. Headlines come and go, but for those closely following, the latest court updates are signaling that we are truly approaching the endgame. Once the court officially approves the dismissal of the appeals, all the legal roadblocks that have held back XRP for years could vanish almost overnight. Imagine the floodgates opening, XRP, free from regulatory uncertainty, suddenly positioned as one of the most investable assets in crypto. But that's not even the biggest catalyst. Here's the kicker: the possibility of a US spot XRP ETF. Think about what ETFs have done for Bitcoin and Ethereum, driving massive institutional inflows, creating new liquidity, and essentially legitimizing these assets in the eyes of Wall Street. XRP, with its jaw-dropping performance and strong market fundamentals, could be next in line to ride that wave. And when that happens, we're not talking about small price spikes. We're talking a potential breakout that could reshape the altcoin market entirely. Now, let's break this down further. XRP isn't just climbing quietly. It's building momentum on multiple fronts. Adoption in cross-border payments, partnerships with financial institutions, and a growing narrative around legal clarity and institutional accessibility. Each of these factors alone would be enough to excite traders, but combined, is a perfect storm for explosive growth. And let's not forget attention and sentiment. market sentiment around XRP is starting to shift dramatically. Analysts, influencers, and investors are beginning to recognize that XRP's trajectory is fundamentally different from most altcoins. While other projects are competing for hype or marketing buzz, XRP is quietly stacking gains, drawing capital, and positioning itself for a breakout that few are prepared for. So, what does all of this mean in practical terms? It means XRP isn't just moving up in the charts. It's quietly laying the foundation for a historic breakout, the kind of breakout that could dominate headlines, draw massive trading volume, and even start to challenge the dominance of other major altcoins. For long-term holders, this is the moment where patience could pay off massively. For traders, this is the opportunity to position themselves ahead of a potential market-moving event. And this is just the beginning. Next, we're going to dive into a detailed comparison of XRP versus top altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and even Dogecoin, to show you exactly why XRP's performance this cycle is hinting at a market shift that very few are prepared to see. We'll break down the numbers, the charts, and the institutional signals that are painting a picture of what could be one of the most pivotal moments in crypto history. So buckle up, because XRP is quietly moving while the world's eyes are elsewhere. And when it makes its move, you do not want to be caught off guard. Now that we've set the stage for XRP's potential breakout, let's dive deeper into the numbers and comparisons that are making investors and institutions sit up and take notice. Because here's the truth. When you start stacking XRP against the other major players in the crypto space, the results are jaw-dropping. Let's start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has always been the king, the bellwether of the crypto market, and understandably so. But here's the thing. While Bitcoin has seen gains, XRP has outperformed Bitcoin nearly 5 times over the last year. That's not small. That's not a minor footnote. That's a clear signal that capital is flowing into XRP at rates that even the market leaders are noticing. Next, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum has dominated headlines with its network upgrades and smart contract ecosystem. And yet, XRP has outpaced Ethereum by almost the same margin, 5 times in performance this past year. Think about that for a second. XRP, often overlooked in mainstream crypto coverage, has quietly been outperforming one of the most dominant altcoins in the space. And we can't forget Solana and Dogecoin. Solana, praised for speed and scalability, and Dogecoin, the meme coin that somehow captured mass attention. Both have been overshadowed by XRP's growth this cycle. XRP's gains have left them in the dust, showing that this isn't about hype or social media trends. This is about real market performance and sustained investor interest. Now, let's widen the lens to include the top 100 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Go through the charts, go through the top gainers. XRP consistently shows up as a top performer. Even coins that have experienced temporary surges or new launches in the past year cannot match the sustained growth and attention XRP has received. This is real performance backed by real adoption and market interest, not short-term speculation. So what's driving this? A big part of it is the market watching the legal landscape. With the SEC versus Ripple case approaching its final stages, institutional investors are starting to see XRP as a viable, low-risk entry point for significant gains. Once the dismissal of appeals is officially confirmed, it's reasonable to expect increased confidence from large-scale investors, opening the floodgates for more capital to enter XRP. And this is where the US spot XRP ETF comes in. Look at what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. They didn't just move the market, they opened it up to trillions in institutional capital. XRP, with its already stellar performance, is perfectly positioned to be the next asset to ride this wave. Imagine the combination of a cleared legal path and a fully approved ETF. The potential trading volume, liquidity, and market attention could be historic. Here's another critical point. XRP is not just outperforming on price alone. Attention metrics, trading volume, and inflow into XRP-based assets are all signaling increasing interest. Analysts are noticing it, hedge funds are noticing it, and the general market is beginning to recognize the narrative. XRP is quietly preparing for a breakout that could dwarf most altcoin performances this cycle. And while everyone is waiting for Ethereum to hit new all-time highs, XRP is quietly stacking momentum in the background. This positions it perfectly to capitalize on the next wave of market enthusiasm. especially when altcoins start gaining attention after a Bitcoin and Ethereum-led rally. So what does this mean in plain terms? XRP isn't just another altcoin climbing the charts. It's a market mover in waiting, a cryptocurrency that's outperforming giants, attracting institutional attention, and standing at the edge of a potential breakout that very few are truly prepared for. Now that we've seen how XRP is outperforming the entire crypto market, let's talk about the biggest potential catalyst on the horizon: a US spot XRP ETF. This isn't just another headline. This could be the single most important event for XRP since its inception, and the market might not even be fully pricing in its potential yet. First, let's understand what we're talking about. A spot ETF allows institutional and retail investors to buy and sell actual XRP exposure on regulated exchanges, rather than through derivatives or futures. Think about the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. They didn't just make trading easier, they unlocked trillions in new capital. Investors who were previously cautious about direct crypto exposure suddenly had a safe, regulated way to participate. And XRP, with its strong fundamentals, growing adoption, and legal clarity on the horizon, is perfectly positioned to ride that same wave. Now, let's talk numbers. Bitcoin spot ETFs have already seen billions in inflows, Ethereum ETFs have attracted record trading volumes, and the appetite for crypto ETFs has never been higher. XRP, currently sitting as one of the most sought-after altcoins, could be next in line for this tidal wave of institutional capital. Imagine a scenario where billions of dollars flow into XRP in a matter of weeks or months. This would push liquidity, trading volume, and market dominance to levels we haven't seen in years. Here's another crucial angle: timing. With the SEC versus Ripple case nearing its conclusion, the regulatory uncertainty that has been holding XRP back could soon be lifted. Once that happens, institutional investors will likely act fast. And with a US spot XRP ETF in play, we could see an explosive confluence of events. Legal clarity, ETF approval, and XRP's sustained market momentum, all aligning perfectly. The potential ETF isn't just about price. It's about visibility, credibility, and adoption. Institutions aren't just looking for high-performance assets. They're looking for assets with regulatory clarity and long-term viability. XRP ticks all these boxes, and a spot ETF would be the official green light signaling that XRP is not just a speculative coin. It's a market-ready, institution-friendly digital asset. And it gets even more interesting when you look at the broader market context. Exchanges like Nasdaq, NYSE, and others are reportedly preparing standardized crypto ETF frameworks, which could streamline approvals for multiple assets. This means we're not just talking about a single XRP ETF. This could open the floodgates for a wave of altcoin ETFs, but XRP could very well be the first to launch, positioning it as the market leader in institutional adoption among altcoins. So, what does this all mean for traders, investors, and crypto enthusiasts? It means that XRP is poised for a potential breakout that could dwarf most altcoins in this cycle. The combination of regulatory clarity, ETF approval, and massive market interest creates a perfect storm. The crypto world may be watching Ethereum and Bitcoin, but XRP could quietly steal the spotlight, attracting massive trading volume and attention across the board. In simple terms, if you're looking for the next big move in crypto, XRP is one to watch closely. The ETF approval could turn months of steady growth into a market frenzy, driving price, adoption, and investor interest to unprecedented levels. And while no one can predict the exact timing, the signs are all pointing toward a historic moment for XRP, one that many aren't ready for. All right, now that we've covered XRP's performance and the potential XRP spot ETF, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Why is this so important, not just for XRP holders, but for the entire crypto ecosystem? If XRP secures a US spot ETF, this isn't just a victory for Ripple. It's a signal to the market that institutional adoption of altcoins is real and accelerating. Historically, when one major altcoin starts attracting massive institutional inflows, it creates a ripple effect, pun intended, across the market. Other altcoins suddenly become more attractive as investors look for the next high-potential asset. Think about it this way. Ethereum ETFs have already seen record inflows in trading volumes, proving that institutional money is ready to pour into regulated crypto products. XRP, with its strong fundamentals and growing adoption, could attract even more attention than Ethereum, especially given its legal clarity and performance this cycle. If XRP goes parabolic, expect altcoins 2.0, a phase where smaller projects that previously flew under the radar could see exponential growth as capital seeks high-potential opportunities. Now, consider the timing with Bitcoin and Ethereum cycles. Historically, when Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, altcoins tend to enter their own explosive phases. XRP is in the perfect position to capitalize on the next Ethereum and Bitcoin rally, potentially outperforming them and stealing the spotlight. Traders who recognize this early could be ahead of the curve, riding XRP before the broader market catches on. There's also the liquidity factor. A U.S. spot XRP ETF would bring massive institutional liquidity into the market. More liquidity means smoother price action, higher trading volumes, and greater market stability, all of which attract even more investors, from hedge funds to asset managers. This isn't just about price spikes. It's about building a sustainable, institutionally backed market presence. And let's not forget market dominance. XRP has already been outperforming nearly every major cryptocurrency this cycle. If the ETF approval and legal clarity coincide, XRP could challenge Ethereum for the second-largest spot in market capitalization among cryptocurrencies. This would be a monumental shift in the market hierarchy and a statement that altcoins aren't just speculative assets. They're serious financial instruments ready for institutional adoption. Finally, the psychological impact can't be ignored. Headlines about XRP ETF approval, legal victories, and breakout performance will capture mainstream attention. Retail investors who were hesitant before might jump in, creating a self-reinforcing cycle. News drives attention, attention drives demand, demand drives price, and the cycle repeats. The stage is being set for a historic surge in both value and adoption, and XRP could very well be the spark that lights this fire. In short, XRP isn't just another altcoin climbing the charts quietly. It's poised to redefine altcoin cycles, dominate headlines, and potentially reshape the crypto market structure as we know it. The combination of legal clarity, ETF approval, market timing, and institutional interest makes this one of the most exciting setups in crypto history. So, if you want to be ahead of the curve, now is the time to watch XRP closely, stay informed, and be ready for what could be one of the biggest breakout stories in crypto ever. And there you have it, the full picture on XRP, the SEC case, and the massive potential for a US spot ETF. We've seen how XRP has been quietly outperforming the market, why institutional investors are taking notice, and why the next phase could be nothing short of historic. If you've been paying attention, you know that XRP isn't just another altcoin. It's positioned to make waves in the crypto market like never before. And when that ETF approval hits, we could see a surge that redefines altcoin cycles entirely. So here's what I want you to do. Don't miss out on this story as it unfolds. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're always the first to know about updates on XRP, Ripple, and the broader crypto market. Also, drop a comment below. I want to hear what you think. Are you ready for the XRP breakout? How high do you think it could go? Let's get the conversation started. Remember, in crypto, staying informed is everything, and XRP is one story you don't want to sleep on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.